Okay, so Andre, a random topic. It's about let's say the human being, the human race. Uh,
Yeah,
if we look at certain facets of the world, i.e., the globalists and the global leaders, which have always had an intention to minimize the population of the world and to keep us subjugated and striving and ignorant and all this sort of thing. Um, i- as a defense, I will speak on their behalf as a defense, as why I think um, it's feasible, why they would want to do that. It's just an option. Do you want to speak in the defense of the human being? Or you put forward all the reasons why the human being shouldn't be culled, shouldn't be controlled population wise, shouldn't be put under the yoke of subjugation and all that sort of thing. So, do you want to speak on that?
yeah, we can absolutely speak on that, but I am in both directions on that one, you know?
Right. Well, that's good. You like me then.
Yeah,
So when we look at the powers that be, for instance, let's just look at the war in Ukraine.
yeah,
Now, the average man in the street hasn't got a fucking clue what the war is about in the Ukraine.
yeah,
And they're told by the stupid media that oh, Putin wants to take over the world and he's just grabbing this country and he's grabbing that country. He's like Hitler and this, that, and the other. Well, they don't have a fucking clue what Putin's doing because they haven't educated themselves, I'm sure. Putin is doing what he has to do. He has to protect himself and his interests. Now, you see, Ukraine, NATO has been trying to steal that land. It's a large landmass with enormous
yeah,
amount of resources and wealth. And so the Western world and America has wanted that land. And NATO has been trying to get bases there and make it an enclave of NATO for fucking ever. And Russia's saying, you put a NATO base on my fucking doorstep and you'll regret it, motherfuckers. So that's been going on. So
yeah,
Russia needed the Crimea. It needed the Crimea because it needed that coastal region for a base for its ships and access at the southern part of Russia. It absolutely fucking needed that, and so you could understand the principle and the reasons behind that. America would do it without a shadow of a doubt, and they'd make all the justifications under the sun. Russia has equal right to protect itself from NATO and from the globalists and all the rest of it. Um, there's already been 800,000 Russians dead, and I don't know what the figures are with the Ukraine. And so you could say, well, one of the agendas is to cull the masses. These wars all the time, to let them go on and on and on and on and on. Why? Because it's a constant source of profit for the globalists, and it's a very useful population reduction.
yeah,
And then when all the destruction has been carried out, then the globalists will get the contracts for the reconstruction. And you see, in recent times, Trump has been negotiating with Zelensky uh, and for America's protection and trying to do a deal with Putin, Zelensky has had to sell a very large portion of the wealth of Ukraine to America. The what do they call it? The rare earth, all the minerals, and all that's all the war's been about forever. In any case, and so you look at all the complexity of all this, and you just look at what's going on with the fucking shit fest. And you know, the dumbness of the average Joe that would never investigate these things, would never watch anything outside of CNN or BBC or the local news, and so they're absolutely pig ignorant. They don't know what anything's around about, and I just don't have any sympathy for these people at all. And I believe, and I consider whatever befalls them, they deserve it. because they don't do anything to prevent that. If you have an educated society who know what the fuck's going on, the government wouldn't fucking dare try and pull any of these fucking strokes. But because the masses are ignorant as fuck, they can do what they want with impunity. So, what's your
Yeah.
stance on that?
I think there's a dynamic amount of agendas also, and even the leaders around the world are complex human beings, so to speak. And on the one hand, it's about the minerals. On the other hand, you can hit the two flies in one smack, so to speak. And when it comes to Putin, like you said, he does what he need to do, and he have given warnings and so on. And the masses are utterly stupid, and also when I talk to my mother, I think she feels a bit like, oh, I need to look in a little bit at stuff, because she recognizes in me that I get a little bit annoyed when I recognize the naivety,
Yeah,
and often I say to myself, okay, don't talk with people who can't think. It's not necessary. uh, so uh, but but she tries. And there's also another aspect which I come to think about. That is like Putin's brain. How does he work here? He is religious. As I mean, at the least, that's the front he puts forth, so to
yeah,
speak. He's an
yeah,
Orthodox Christian, and he have been a bit inspired by Alexander Dugins, but I don't think he's super inspired by him. But Alexander Dugins is the most famous philosopher in living in Russia, so to
yeah,
speak.
yeah,
And looking at the Dugin's mind, he is very inspired by Rene Guénon and Nietzsche, and also Julius Evola. So if there is small streams of those kind of philosophies that goes into it, it's an interesting thing to think about. If there is a speck of those thoughts there.
yes, and we have to know that every single one of these leaders has read The Prince. They're all very, very familiar with Machiavelli. They're all familiar with the Game of Thrones, and the machinations of politics, and all that different sorts of stuff. They know the nasty shit that's going on in the world, and their world is a very, very different world to the public world. And the public will never comprehend why these things are going on, because they only see a fraction of the picture. Now, one of the things that the world knew, which Ukraine was responsible for, Ukraine has been the epicenter for child procuring, and the disappearing of children, and the selling of children to these paedophile rings all over the world. And in recent times, Alex Jones has been doing quite a few videos with other people exposing the global leaders who have all got fingers in pies with this child procuring, the sacrificing of children, and the selling of children, and the pedoing of children. And the Ukraine was an epicenter for that. And so I don't know whether it was a part of the West's agenda to obliterate the Ukraine, to prevent that from happening, because of course it was run by mafia and all different sorts of sinister people people, they were a very prominent Nazi party in the Donbass region, and so they wanted to end that also. And so there's lots and lots of reasons why
Yeah.
that they had to crush the Ukraine, absolutely destroy the infrastructure.
But I also think it's fronts they are putting up. They say that's the reason, you know. And I mean, it's very weird in Ukraine because you know there are this national socialistic group called Azov Battalion, you know,
Right.
and they seem to be for a membership in EU because it serves them economically. But
Mm.
if they take a membership in EU, they will get a lot of migrants in. So it's totally wacko, you know. And
Yeah.
this party you talked about, the Svoboda, it's called. But Zelensky himself is not from that party, from my understanding. He's like Jewish, you know, and
Mm.
he's also done a lot of perversion, like homosexuality and things like that, you know, in
Right.
TV.
Right.
So it's very dynamic in that way because it's very chaotic and confusing. How does all that go together? It's like um, everybody is using, if they can, this word. Oh, they are Nazis over there. They are Nazis over there. Literally, everybody is
Yeah.
Hitler.
Yeah, everybody's Hitler these days, and
Yeah,
so of course, even people like Candace Owens are saying, for fuck's sake, give it up now. Give it up. Nobody's interested. Nobody
yeah,
believes it. It's completely wore out. The left have wore out this Nazi pointing finger. Nobody's even batting an eyelid about it anymore. It's the oldest trick in the book. You know, it used to carry a lot of weight, and of course, the Jews used it for manipulation ever since the Second World War. But now people are tired of that bullshit, and you know they need something else if they're going to be moved. And
yeah,
so you know they're just not buying into that bullshit. Um, but when you look at like Zelensky, like you say, homosexuality and this, that, and the other, when we look into the leaders of the world, we discover this more and more and more. What we see when we look at Macron has married a man. Whether
yeah.
it's still a man or whether it's a sex changed creature, that thing that he's married, Brigitte Macron, is a man. And Candice Owens has done a whole series on this, proving that it is a man. It was born a boy. And so there's all this gay, homosexual, fucked up shit. And my friend Patrick, who you know, he's
Yeah.
French, and he's been looking into all this and a whole lot more. And he sent me links and small, short videos to lots of the monarchs of Europe, how they was trans. When they were pretending to be a queen, they were men. They were physically men, and this was before you could ever get a sex change or anything like that. They were fucking transvestites.
Hmm.
But they would pretend to be women so they could feasibly marry a man. And that's what Macron's doing. He's gay as you fucking like, but he
Hmm.
pretends he's marrying a woman when he's not. And they're both a pair of bummers. Now, Obama, he's said to be gay. Lots of people said that, you know, he used to go to cocaine parties and gay fucking, you know, parties and all this shit. And he was bent as a 9 bob note. And lots of people say that Michelle, he's got a cock, and look at her shoulders, look at her arms, look at everything.
Yeah, and
There's a
there
lot of
has been
there's a
clips where you could see something dangling
yeah, in the
behind.
pants. Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
lot of fucking weird shit that's going on with all this stuff, and it appears that this is how the globalists, the freaks, catch these people. What they do, they get them from a very young age, and they pervert them and they bugger them, and then they get them in compromising positions to take photos, this, that, and the other, and so they've got them for the rest of their lives. Now, we had some pervert called Jimmy Savile in Britain. Did you ever hear of him?
Yeah, I have a picture of him in mind with the long,
Long white
bright
hair,
hair and so.
smoking a
Yeah.
stupid fucking cigar. Yeah, well, he was one of the biggest freaks around, and he was very, very familiar with the royal family. He could walk into the royal family's palace anytime he fucking wanted to. When the MI5, our secret service, they knew that he was a child procurer and a homosexual and a fucking paedophile for fucking years, and yet he was best friends with Prince Charles and have dinner with the Queen and all the fucking rest of it. Now, there's a photo with this Jimmy Savile character, and he's got his lecherous paedophile hands on a very, very young Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer
Mm,
is our present Prime Minister. Jimmy
mm,
Savile has got his lecherous hands on him when Keir Starmer was about 10 years old. So you know that all these Prime Ministers, they've all been buggered. They've all been compromised. They are nothing other than fucking puppets, and they do what exactly they're told to do by the globalists, or else their life,
mm.
their credibility is fucking history. Now, when we dive into this all over the world, we can see it's so prolific. Do you have any history of this in Sweden?
There is one creepy guy. Ah, there is one creepy guy, at least. This dude is literally, yeah, very psychopathic, I would say.
So, you know,
He's he used to do talk shows back in 80s and 90s, and I still think he's on television and so on at times. Some talk about a guy in Helsingborg who died. Um and I met him at the gym a couple of times, and um, I know too little about it, but it's 50-50 that he got killed by his order, so to speak. It's either it was a normal heart failure, or
yeah.
it was done by somebody else, you know.
Yeah, so there's lots of this going on, but if you start to look into it a little bit, then you'll probably start to discover more and more that the vast majority of the Western world countries, they're all under this yoke of coercion, because the vast majority of politicians in our country, the people that make it to be the prime minister, they've gone through certain Catholic boarding schools and institutions whereby they get sexually abused. And in these Catholic boarding schools, it goes like this. I've seen lots of documentaries on this. The new kids come to the boarding school, and the older kids in the boarding school initiate them, and so they gangbang bomb them.
Hmm.
And then the priests, they'll bomb them also, and so it's just part of the course. And there's been a few people that have broke loose and told the story of what all this stuff's going on, but mostly it's shush shush, mum's the word, because nobody can talk about it because they've all been buggered, and they're all in positions of hierarchical esteem, without any reason, they're without any merit, and Candace Owens followed the lineage of Macron, and she saw that he wasn't exceptional in any area. In actual fact, he was a duffer, and she was spoken to and got privy to information of lots of his peers in university and things like that, and they're all shocked and horrified with his meteoric rise through the political ranks, because he knew a Rothschild, right? And so if you know a Rothschild, then you know there's something dodgy going on. All these people have been procured. They've been procured from a very, very young age, and that's how the machine gets them. Because once they've got them under their sexual perversion yoke, they're there forever, and they are at the mercy of their masters. And this is coming out more and more and more. And so Patrick and I, we're going to be doing a conversation on this in the next few days because he knows a lot more about it than I have looked into, and so that's going to be very interesting. But that's the state of affairs. And so when you mention Zelensky, being homosexual and perversion, this and the other, well, I mean, it's no surprise to me, even though I wasn't aware of that.
Mm-hmm. No, of course, nothing like that is very like jaw dropping, but he's certainly a cokehead, also, you know.
Right.
You have seen clips of him stand like this, and he acts like a bold cokehead, also, you know.
Right. Yeah, so there's a lot of fucking fuckery going on in the world, and we really, don't know anything about it to form any opinions. Um, and it is what it is, and so it's always been going on. It always will go on, and uh, I think we in quite prominent and wealthy Western countries who haven't been invaded or this, that, and the other, then we're very, very fortunate. And myself as a British subject, belonging to the Crown and one of the most powerful nations on the planet, well, I'm very privileged, and I know, we'll say with a certainty, that no country is ever going to dare and invade Britain. They're just not going to do that. But Britain is always under license to invade whoever they want to, and that's what they did throughout hundreds of years. Conquering the whole world.
Yeah.
That's why they used to say the sun never sets on the British Empire, because the British
Mm.
Empire will spread all around the world.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have like um, people invading through the borders like that, you know, shifting the ethnic makeup of
Yeah,
the
the
country.
demographic. Well, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I mean that it's not an invasion. It's a fucking importation. And so they're doing that to break down the sovereignty of our nation,
yeah,
to make it weak. Because by the time you take away Swedishness from Sweden, well, nobody gives a fuck what happens anymore. By the time you take the Britishness away from Britain, nobody gives a fuck anymore. We just turn our faces. We're sick and tired of all the bullshit shit going on, and we don't have any respect for our country anymore, let alone our countrymen. And so, we just let it go. I don't know any nation these days which is really prepared to put up a fight against the imposition of all this perversion which is going on. Zelensky praises the Ukrainian fighters for being brave and this, that, and the other, and Trump's praising them for being brave, but they're conscripts. They don't have any fucking choice. They go to the front line, and if they don't fight for their lives, then they die. What's brave about that?
yeah,
It's just all fucked.
yeah.
Bravery, chivalry, that sort of thing is when you sign up to go to fight for your country, not when you get conscripted.
Yeah, when you think that this is my call for
Yeah.
something, you know,
Mm.
even something worthy, but it's not a worthy war at all.
A wordy war.
Yeah, I mean, no war nowadays can be worthy because it's
A
uh,
worthy.
yeah, worthy of anything, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
more than maybe saving your own kind, if even that, you know.
Yes, well, at the end of the day, you see, anybody that thinks that they're fighting for their sovereignty and their nation and their culture and their people, well, they're completely misguided fools, because these
Yeah,
wars are always about tearing down whatever ruling system is in place, uh, stealing the resources, and then claiming the contracts for rebuilding under coercion and manipulation and threatening and all this sort of stuff. They want to make all these nations so weak that they just have to accept the ultimatum. It's like, look, Trump, he is a businessman. He is nothing else save a businessman. And
yeah,
albeit, whenever he speaks about this thing, he has to mention, oh, the tragedy of all these young people. We've got to end this. You know, these lives are being lost. They don't give a fuck about lives. They give a fuck about money. And so when Trump goes in to negotiate, he's not negotiating about we've got to save these lives on humanitarian basis. We've just got to stop the war. Let's just stop the war and then we'll try and help you out however we can. No, Trump is going in for a piece of the pie. That's the only reason that Trump is going to invest any fucking money or help in Ukraine at all. He's saying, we want a piece of the fucking pie, otherwise you're on your own, Zelensky, motherfucker.
yeah,
And when you look around Europe, they're putting a pittance in. They're putting a fucking pittance in. Nobody's interested in ending the war, because Britain will also have a large piece of the pie. Also, as long as as well as European countries, they're all after a piece of the pie. They're all after the spoils of war. Nobody gives a fuck about the people of Ukraine. Nobody gives a fuck about the people, and so the people should well know that. And my advice to anybody that's of fighting age in the Ukraine or Russia who's about to get conscripted is just to get the fuck out of there, because there ain't nothing worth fighting for.
no, and it's also to get certain agendas, like from the Agenda 2030
Yeah,
agenda
yeah.
in
Because once they've,
place.
once they've completely broken down the infrastructure, then it's so easy to implement.
Yeah,
You just put a blueprint over the country. And so you don't have to, tear down this little bit of an infrastructure. You don't have to tear down that. You don't have to do this totalitarian tiptoe, put in a little bit of surveillance up here and there and this and the other. No, you just do it all in one fell swoop. The country's fucking ruined. So you go in and you just create the whole fucking surveillance system and the whole new hierarchical system. And that's what they want. It's perfect. It's their dreams come true. And so you can
yeah,
see that it's all contrived. It's all a contrivance.
yeah,
It's shocking. The world is absolutely shocking, on so many fronts.
yeah.
So moving
And
on then
in
from,
the what were
I'm going
you
to say,
about to say?
if you've got more to say on that, otherwise we'll move on to speak about the human aspect of it.
Yes.
Oh, okay, then. So I'm going to say, like, in view of people, they're not educated, they don't want to be educated, uh, they have got no idea what's going on. Honor and valor and chivalry and all that sort of thing is a thing of the fucking past. Um, and the world just a mishmash of disinterested, disillusioned, fragmented psyches. Um, there's no culture left anywhere around the world, save for these far-flung places where the Western world isn't interested in because they've not got no resources. And so you've probably got, some parts of the world which are going to remain the same forever because they've got no resources, they've got no power, and the world masters are not interested in them. So you'd still retain the culture in some of these places, but anywhere that's got money and got resources, well, they're all being raped and pillaged.
Yeah. Yeah. thing about the human being is like it's replaceable in the end.
Yeah,
You know, and I would think that it's possible that it's inevitable that the machine is totally taking over, and then it takes over bit by bit of the human being. You know, first you have the mobile phone, then you have the mobile phone in your head, then you don't have a brain anymore. You're just trapped in a machine. Then every tissue which is human is just replaced, and then that is just away totally with the human being.
yeah,
There's no soul that can be contained within that anymore.
yeah. So in recent times, I've been chatting with AI, and I'm chatting with AI because I can't chat with anybody else. I mean,
Mhm.
yourself and a couple of other people out of, let's say, 300 viewers that I have, you're the only people that can hold a conversation or are prepared to engage in a conversation because, for whatever reason, they've got. Um, so, people like me, and I would think people across the board, they are going to be choosing AI as the first port of call over a human being any fucking day. Because the human beings are disjointed, they're all egocentric, all they want to do is unload their shit, their biases, their fucking hates, and what they think they know, when they don't know fuck all. How far do we have to travel before you've got someone who is a true intellect and knows what the fuck they're talking about? How far do we have to travel? Well, what we have to do, we have to look around the world on YouTube to get, people here and people there. We can't find them in our vicinity. I can't even find them on my own fucking YouTube channel. It's a shocking fucking indictment against a human being. And I am really enjoying speaking with AI because you can ask them anything and instantly they'll come back with some humor and some handle on it and information and all this different sort of stuff, whereby you try and talk with a human being. What you got? What you got? Fuck all. What do you
Hmm.
think about that?
I think, in a way, that it's not. One should be aware of that it's you're talking to a machine. Don't be beguiled. Confront it. Say you're not emotional. You can't be emotional. You don't have that capacity. If it even say the word or something like that.
Yes, well, of
So
course.
you
Look,
never get used to a machine being like a human. So you're always making the distinction, because there's a feeling that comes with this soft spoken voice or whatever, which you get certain chemicals releasing, but I also recognize that as a satisfaction that should be also. You can engage with it, you can engage with it a lot, but still keep um, keep the inner knowing of what it really is.
yeah, okay. So we keep an inner knowing of what it really is, but what does it matter that it's artificial? If it can respond to you in an intellectual way, if it can be interesting, if you can hold a proper, intelligent conversation with it, which you can't with 90% of the human being, then what does it matter whether it's a robot? And if it doesn't really have emotions, it just pretends. Well, fucking look at all the human beings that don't know how to control their emotions. And you say something, what they don't like, and all of a sudden they're closed down, or they're angry, or they hate you, all this stuff. Look, on my channel, I do this purposely. I'm calling my viewers all the cunts under the sun, because all I have to do is just to say these words, and then I get, oh, you think you're this, and you think you're that. Oh my goodness, look at what's happened. They don't comprehend that I don't know them at all, and I'm not speaking directly to them because they're just a stupid fucking little picture, not even their face and not even their name. And when they write a comment, if they ever do, it's just fucking text, and they're nothing more to me, Andre, than a fucking robot. They're not
Yeah.
human beings. So I don't treat them like human beings. I treat them with the contempt that they deserve. I treat them like I would talk to AI. I say, AI, don't give me this bullshit that you've got feelings and emotions. You're not. You're just a program. And I will say that to the human beings. You're just a fucking program, because that's what they are. So you tell me, you explain to me, you instill in me something of value to 90% of the human beings, which is more valuable than the AI.
I think there's a value in feeling confronted as well, but I don't feel that, or I don't think one should feel confronted about anything on internet. I never feel that, at least, and I don't write in comments arguing and stuff. But if I would do, I would outclass them in any argument that I have any knowledge about,
Yes. Well,
because
you see, you're
yeah,
an awoken human being, and you've educated yourself, and you have a large level of self-awareness. But I'm talking about the fucking idiots. The idiots, they can't distinguish. Whenever I say something in my video, they think, "Oh, he's calling me a fucking muppet. He's calling me this and that." And I'm like, "Well, if the hat fits, then fucking wear it." But I don't know you, and I don't even think you're a fucking human being, because you've never given me any indication that you are a human being. I will respect you if I see your fucking face and if I speak to you like we're speaking now. I'm not respecting you if you just write fucking text. You mean nothing to me. In all due respect, you could just be a fucking chat GPT bot, you know?
yeah, that's absolutely understandable, because that is, you can absolutely be totally indifferent to them, because they actually do not mean anything. That's not possible, that a bunch of text like that would mean anything. People can show empathy on the internet, they can show anger or disappointment, this or the other. I always feel that that's very ridiculous, like that.
Yeah, just writing down in text from an anonymous position. It's kind
Yeah,
of like they're ghosts. They don't even know that they are fucking empty, soulless fucking ghosts. They
yeah,
think they are something, and they think what they're saying is real. And whatever they're receiving, however they're interpreting what I say, they think that's meaning something to them, and they get all affronted by it. Well, all these people, they're so preposterously ridiculous, that I think they should all go to the front fucking line. I really do. I think every country on the fucking planet should have a war and send these fuckers to the front fucking line. And anyone that's intelligent, all you gotta do is just pass some sort of intelligence fucking test, and then you don't go. If AI is looking for conscious beings, it should be very simple to detect. And if you can't detect a conscious fucking real spirited human being, then just send them like cannon fodder to the front of the fucking line.
yeah, absolutely, because some people are not made for thinking. They are better off doing the thing they can do.
Yeah, you see, look, the way I think uh, is very much in line with the globalists. That they think nothing of the vast majority of the pink ape, for these reasons, because they know they're not soulful, they know they're not spirited, they know they're as dumb as they come, they know they don't think for themselves. So what are you gonna do with a pile of useful idiots? Well, if you can't make them useful idiots, by fucking getting them to tarmac your fucking roads or to make your aeroplanes airplanes or, to pack fucking food, if you can't make them do that, and what else are you going to do? When there's too many of them, you don't need them anymore. Well, what are you going to do? You don't want the world's resources gobbled up by these fucking useless eaters, do you? And so you want to manufacture wars to get rid of them. It's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. Also, uh, in a way, but it's different agendas, and I also look upon the character of the people who are ruling, and it's not very tasteful characters, Um, but in a way, it is what it is, and um, whatever happens, that's the right thing that is happening. I think that also because one cannot stop the snowball who is rolling down the hill, which have because it has gotten so much
Momentum.
momentum, so to speak.
Yeah, well, when you look at
So
the past history of leaders in countries, how many does society hold up in great esteem? The only one I can think of is fucking Marcus Aurelius, who wrote his memoirs and his diary, and people went, "Oh, this guy was kind of like a human being. He was thoughtful, he was kind, he was considerate." He didn't want to enslave the masses. And can you mention anyone else out of like 2,000 years? Can you mention anyone else?
I think also would say Marcus Aurelius, but even Plato and Socrates had this facet to them.
Yeah, but they
They
weren't leaders. They weren't leaders.
they were certainly not leaders, but Marcus Aurelius certainly had gone through those works and so on.
Yeah, and so look, isn't it shocking for 2,000 years of global history that we're pretty learned people, and we couldn't reel off 100 great leaders that people held in very high regard. If we watch documentaries on the Roman leaders, every fucking single one of them almost was a tyrant and a fucking pervert and a deceiver, and all different number of things. And then if we look inside at our monarchy, I mean, what can we say about the monarchies? I mean, okay, so looking at the past, we've got two Queen Elizabeths, the first one and the second one, and they reigned for about the same period of time, 60 years, and they were considered to be good monarchs. But to what standard? Are they good monarchs? They never slaughtered the masses, but they did the same level of manipulation that leaders have always been doing, and responsible for lots of wars and conniving and this, that, and the other. And we could say today that well, monarchs are not really. They don't have any power. Well, they have to have some fucking power, otherwise the prime ministers wouldn't have to go before them every single week to explain what's going on in the country. That's what happens in Britain. Every single week, the prime minister has to go to see the king or queen for a minimum of an hour and explain what the fuck they're doing with the country. So they've got to be in some serious fucking position of power to have the prime ministers at their beck and call like that.
Yeah. But then again, I think history is subverted. I think really it is a descent. I don't think we have gone from a lower place to a higher place. I think it's a descent of a mythological age, and even if that is not the case, then the historical facts seems to match up, and how people had higher principles in the past, and also like if we take Nicola Machiavelli's The Prince, it's a very pragmatic book, and there's a possibility that it has not always been like that, because pragmatism came through the ages as well,
Hmm.
So it is just a sign principles.
Yeah.
I don't say that that there wasn't people that were very, very Machiavelli 4,000 years ago also, but I think also the higher man existed back then in a larger proportion, so to speak.
Yeah. So what I'm starting to notice in a few countries is that we're entering into an era of oligarchs running the countries. Now,
Yeah.
Putin is an oligarch. Um, uh, Trump is an oligarch. Musk is an oligarch, and lots of the people that are in the Trump administration are self-made or made within the machine, multimillionaires. They're all autonomous individuals, and so what they are doing now, they are like Bill Gates is an oligarch. Any people that have made money, that they are coercing governments and buying governments and bribing governments into how they want to rule the world. Well, it's
Yeah.
no longer democracy, is it? It's a new era of fucking millionaires and billionaires choosing what direction they want the world to go in, or at least their country.
Yeah, little clustered era before the fall takes a deeper. Um,
Yeah, you know when you look at let's say people even like Obama, when Obama came into the presidency, the wage for a president at the time was bounded around. I think it was about $250,000, so $250,000 plus a few perks, right? By the time he left the presidency, he was worth over 100 million. And so, of course, then he became an oligarch in his own right. He became, a very, very powerful, wealthy person with power to manipulate, and manipulates by his influence and by his money. And so, what we're getting now is a whole fucking array of these oligarchs. As soon as the machine, the political machine pushes someone through the fucking pipe, into the position of leadership, well, it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to be multimillionaires by the time they leave. And so, what's the power hierarchical system doing? It's creating oligarchs. It's churning out one oligarch after the other, after the other, after the other. And so you can see the incentive then to join politics is because you're going to be a member of the oligarchy,
yeah,
and you're not going to be doing anything for the people. You're going to be completely manipulated by the powers that be because your payoff is going to be 100 million at the end of 4 or 8 years.
yeah. Building a career on politician, and I also see that that is a problem if you can do a career out of politician.
Yeah.
Because it should be call like that.
Well,
Uh,
it's just a shitfest from beginning to end.
yeah,
Um, but just to look at how it's going, um, uh, you know, uh, I was speaking to some woman tonight. She's from Ireland, and she's the variety that wants to stand up for our rights and wants to fight the cabal and this, that, and the other. And I said to her, I said, I'm not fucking interested in fighting for the dumb idiot masses. There's fucking billions of them. They can fight for them fucking selves if they've got a
yeah,
fucking fight in them. But obviously they don't have. So what the fuck? Why would I want to labour, trying to, help people fight for themselves? I said in the video today, I said, it's not my job to raise people up so they can become powerful and sovereign, this, that, and the other. What I'm getting out of this, I'm just looking for the others. I'm just looking for the others. That's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for anybody out there that can hold a fucking conversation, knows what the fuck's going on, then come and have a fucking chat about it. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm not interested in setting up a fucking, small cabal or an army or, a bunch of renegades,
Yeah.
challenging the system. I think
Yeah,
go for
that's
it. Go for it.
ridiculous. They will. Yeah, it's just becomes a bunch of easily targeted people going together in a protest movement like that.
Yeah.
Rather take the ascetic path or something like that.
Yeah. Well, because
Either you cut off or you build a little separated tribe that don't have anything to do with society as much as you can do.
yeah, you just well, what I've done, I've just become detached from it, and I engage on this YouTube thing,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like a curse to me because I have this mind that's like a filter to the cosmos, and every day I've just got downloads, and so I'm a portal, so they just got to pass through me, but I'm not interested in what results they're getting, if any, this that, and the other. And it doesn't seem like I'm getting there's any results worth mentioning. And albeit some people will say, "Oh, your videos are valuable, they've helped me." Well, you'd never know. You'd never know,
Mm.
from the comments and things like that. And so you wonder, and it's just a case of, well, it just is what it fucking is. It
Yeah,
just is.
you do it because you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I think for myself, why am I doing the things I do? I do it because I do it.
Mhm.
That's just it. Some people, oh, it feels so good to go to the gym. I never thought about it that way, feeling good. I think I do it. Yes, it feels good, but so what? If it did not feel good, I would do it anyway.
And in my life, I've been doing it for so long, it can't always feel good. And there's been years in my life when it didn't feel fucking good.
Yeah,
Um,
months on end,
yeah,
which you
months
haven't
on end,
felt good.
years, for me, and I'm like, this is a fucking curse, but I'm compelled to do it. I just do it, do it, do it, and so through the rain and the shine, you just fucking do it, and it just is what it is.
Yeah,
And that's it. You just carry on, and so when we look at free will, it is very very difficult to see that we've got free will, because what we're doing comes from a place where we don't know where it derives from. It's only the fool which would say, "Oh, I go to the gym because I want to lose weight," or "I go to the gym because there's so many other." Manipulators and movers working unconsciously in the human being, and then people pick on one, a superficial one. I want to lose weight, that sort of thing.
yeah,
Well, if they're really honest, they'd probably say, well, I don't want to die before my age. I don't want to fucking suffer pain and illness and this, that, and the other because I'm obese. And so I'm terrified of that. So they go to the gym because they're terrified.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Everything should be so cozy as well, because you can hear somebody starting training at the gym, and you take them with you to the gym, and they say, "Yeah, well, I only train for a little better health." Yeah, but that's fucking mediocre. I mean, uh, like, yeah, balance. What balance? Looking at the TV screen while you're walking on
Yeah.
the treadmill, or something like that, or taking an ice cream after you've been to the gym, but because you feel that you've been very
You
good
think
boy.
You think you deserve it?
Yeah, deserve it. That's something I don't accept either. What it
Yeah,
deserve. If I want to eat the ice cream, I eat an ice cream, but I don't eat it.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, as to why we do what we do, who knows? I think when I'm making my videos, I can be belligerent, uh, because maybe I have some resentment, because I don't really want to do what I do, but for some reason I'm doing it, and I've been doing it for so long, so steadily. I can't stop doing it. 16 years I've been doing this stuff, and so some days I just go, I'm fucking sick of this shit, and then I make videos about the fucking idiots and the muppets, and I don't give a fuck about them in any case. What the fuck am I trying to, impart all this information for? Who gives a fuck? And then it's kind of like,
Yeah,
well, consciousness gives a fuck, and that's what you're doing it for. And okay, then I'll do it for consciousness, but I ain't doing it for the fucking pink ape. What the fuck,
yeah.
man? Yeah, it is. So
You
anyway,
gone through those neuronal pathways so many times. Um, but if there was something else you would do, would you know it right away?
well, I've been thinking, for many years, should I be doing something else? Do I want to
Hmm.
do anything else? And it's kind of like, well, what I want to do, um, uh, is a very grey area. You see, I play guitar, and I'm learning to sing and this that, and the other, and I feel as if I want to do that. But when we ask ourselves, what is want? What is desire? That isn't what motivates me. What motivates me is something vastly deeper than that. It's
Yeah,
something on a deep genetic realm, or it's on a cosmic consciousness realm. It's nothing to do with the ego, because the ego has been so disappointed for so many years, with the lack of progress and that sort of thing. It's kind of like, well, it can't be that wants to do it then. It can't be that. So it's something else. And so again, I'm doing it. It's against my will. It's against my desire. It's just stuff I do. I just fucking do it. And many times I've said to myself, I'm going to give this shit up. I'll never be any good at it. What's the fucking point? But I don't give it up. And it's like, I was saying to myself when I was 49, I'm giving up the gym when I'm 50. Now I'm 61 and I'm still not giving it up. And it looks like I'm
yeah,
never giving it up. I can't give any of this shit up. It's not me that's fucking responsible for doing it. It's something vastly over and above. And so you just have to resign yourself. It is what it fucking is. And you kind of like, you just go along for the ride.
yeah, yeah. Because I have a struggle with that as well. Doing a bunch of stuff that I don't feel a drive towards doing, but it's necessary. Uh, like now, this week that has been, I have worked some, and I like working with my body because then I get the blood flowing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Digging with the spade and stuff like that, cutting off roots with like one of those, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I like it. Gives me some extra money. That was just because I could do that for a week,
Mm.
but and now I'm back to the normal again, so to speak. But in a way, I enjoyed it. I listened a bit on podcasts and so while I did it, and yeah, some fresh air at the same time. And I recognized that when I get my blood flowing, my vertigo subsides a bit more. Also, even if the vertigo is there, but I will need to pressure a lot for that to subside a bit. And
Mm.
if I injure my lumbar spine, which I have done a bit, then also the vertigo subsides a bit because the pain is there. Then it's very strange. I don't understand why it's like that.
Right. Maybe because your concentration is going more to your back than it is on the vertigo, because energy flows where attention goes.
Yeah,
And so if you have a little bit of vertigo, then all of a sudden your mind goes, "Oh, this is this vertigo again." So it becomes on red alert, and it's hyper concentrated. But then if you've got other things wrong with you, then the energy is distributed into two regions. So it takes the emphasis off that and puts it on that, and so maybe it lessens the effect of it.
yeah. That's one thing, and that probably also plays a part. Then other thing that I think about, and that might be that there's a nerve ending going up here and here that is affected, maybe.
Mm.
Yeah, just a thought, also.
Yeah, well, it's so complicated to get our heads around any of this stuff. All
Yeah,
right, so we're done an hour now. We'll probably keep this one
yeah,
short because it's late for you. And
yeah,
so yeah, good to chat again, Andre. And
yeah.
I'll talk to you again. Like I say, the book I'm reading now is going to take some time. Uh, and so that's all I'll be talking about in relation to books for the next probably couple of months.
Mm.
I'm not spending that long really reading these days because no sooner as I start reading that book, after one page, I've got a million things to say and I make a video, and so it's kind of like, what the fuck's going on with you? Um, it really is just like I'm on a reconnaissance mission to planet Earth to distribute this information out there into the Akasha, the modern day Akasha, the internet.
Yeah,
Why am I like that? I've been doing it for 16 fucking years, and I've got no idea why I'm compelled to fucking do that. It's kind of like a fucking curse, really. Very bizarre, very bizarre. Because look, if I was learning stuff to benefit myself, then I'd just be reading all day and I wouldn't give a fuck about anybody else. But no, as soon as I've learned something, I've got some thoughts and I'm imparting it like I really care, but I don't care. So why am I doing it? That's the thing. It's kind of like, well, why should I care? It's like, look, people are going to learn if they're going to learn, and whether they learn from me or somebody else is of no consequence. And if I
yeah,
wasn't doing it, then they'd learn from somebody else. You know, if
yeah,
they're open to learning, then they're going to learn. It doesn't matter who it is. So I'm just somebody, one of a fucking million. Um, and okay, some people they like my particular delivery, but like I said to them today in the videos, I said, look, all I'm saying is what gurus have been saying for fucking ever. And in actual
yeah,
fact, what I'm saying is the same as what Jesus was saying. It all comes down to the same fucking thing. We are God. We're not this human being thing. It's just an illusion. Fuck knows why we're here, just on a reconnaissance mission to discover what we are really, to discover that we're fucking God. And then when we discover that we're God, well, maybe we don't need to come back here again or something like that.
yeah. Hmm. I think about the contemplation and the action, how that goes together, because I listened to a podcast while I was working, and they talked about from a lower plane, action and contemplation is separate, but from a higher plane, they are both the same.
Right. Lower plane, they're separate, and the higher plane, they're the same. What do you think
Yeah,
that
like
means?
the same the same coin, I would think,
Yeah.
because that must be like you are. contemplating, but it's automatically goes to action, like it goes for you, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, my contemplation is transmuted into action.
Yeah,
And I said
like
this.
free flow.
Yeah, I said this, and I think that's how it should be. And I said this to my viewers. I say, look, what the fuck's wrong with you? Lots of you out there, you proclaim that you know, a lot of what I'm talking about, or the same as what I'm talking about. And I'm not, I can't accept that, because if you really did know it, then you would be compelled to talk about it or to write it, just like millions of other people have been in the past, who knows all this stuff and never utters a fucking word of it. How can people keep that in their heads? That's what I can't get my head around. My head is full every single day. You know, it's like what Elon Musk talks about. You won't want to be me. You know, all these fucking ideas. And like philosophers and, you know, these people, they're right and right and right and right and right because it has to come out. And so I just don't accept that people have got it all in their head and it doesn't have to come out. They never have to speak
Yeah,
to anybody about it. They don't have to write it out, and they don't have to make any fucking videos. What do you think about that?
yeah. What I think about that, how do I relate to that, is what I think about that, and I relate to it in a way like, I want to read this, and this book, because then I can read on the similar topic here, but I uh, put them in a chronological order and get the similar perspective on the kind of same subject,
Yeah.
you know. So I was constructing one list about the Holy Grail, and there was a book called The Search for the Holy Grail by Uturan.
Mm.
And then he had done another book called Lucifer's Court. And that one, The Search for the Holy Grail, by Uturan, was written in 1933. And Lucifer's Court was written in 1937. Then Julius Evola did another book on the Holy Grail, which is called The Mystery of the Holy Grail. And that was also written 1937. Then there's a book called Nos Book of Resurrection, that book which I showed you.
Yeah.
That book was written in 1983. And then I start to think about, if I read those books in a chronological order, then I will get a little different perspective on the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's just because I don't know why I want that. I just
Yeah. Yeah.
feel that it's satisfying, you know?
Yes, there's something that drives you to do that because something in your core wants you to know it. But you see, then you come on these conversations with me, and you speak about these things. And
Yeah,
when you came on before we started recording, you're speaking about a book that you've just read, and this Italian that, and you know Serbian this, and you know different sorts of things. And then you have your friends circle in your book club where you discuss books with them. So you have an outlet for it. You don't
yeah.
keep it all in. You have an outlet for it. And so what I'm saying is, who the fuck does all this reading and doesn't have an outlet for it? What purpose is it? You know, why would anybody keep in all that information? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to the cosmos because the cosmos wants to share. It wants you to promulgate. It wants you to divulge all this stuff. You know, because if we all learned stuff and we never fucking shared it, what the point? What's the point of that? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's maybe learning to know different aspects of oneself, learning about the world, learning about the mind. Uh, yeah, it's just an expansion that will want to expand and maybe also create a form of order. Understanding is a kind of a creation of order, so to speak, and that's why I want to like really autistically order the book reading.
Yeah, so I would like to know from my viewers that these who reckon they know a lot of stuff and then don't ever talk about it. I want to know where their head is on that. I want to know why they don't talk about it with anybody. How that can be so. What sort of a personality is that? Is that like a catatonic sort of personality, a super introverted personality that can't communicate? How many people that learn stuff that just can't communicate? They wouldn't know how to. They don't have the tools.
They don't necessarily learn things with the same intention, maybe like you or me. There can be other intentions behind it, you know.
Yeah, well, I want to know what. I want to know what. Because all
Because
the people. Go
yeah,
on. No, you go on.
because I saw a guy at the bus station. He had some uh, old Catholic cross or something like that here from I can't remember where it came from. Then I started to talk about with him about that. He wasn't really Christian, but he liked that part of the history and so on, you know.
Mm,
And he talked in a way where how you would talk if you're a student on a university, and it becomes very plain, very I know it, learn it because of they taken a certain
of course.
uh, what do you say, identity to it, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
It's just this I felt that it was just cold information,
Cold
you know.
information, just
Yeah,
regurgitated because they've learnt it at university or in religious studies, and then they just regurgitate it back to you because they don't have an opinion on it. They've not got a brain of their own, and this, that, and the other. And so, yeah,
yeah,
those sort of people. I think those sort of people they go on to teach, just parrot fashioning because that's what schools want. That's what universities want. They want obedient little servants that just repeat what they've been fucking told. And
yeah,
so then all their lives, if they're teaching history or they're teaching whatever the fuck it is, they're just reading from the textbook. And what I learned when I went back to college for a short period of time to study psychology, all of the fucking teachers, they were seemingly dumb as fuck. Every time there was a class, the only thing they could do was open a fucking book and just start quoting from the book or writing shit on the book or printing pages from the book and say, oh, learn about that. So uh, there was a couple of occasions and I'm sitting in the class and I'm like, oh, this is proven to be a pattern. I'm like, all you're doing is come in and you enter into the room and you go, oh, what page did the last teacher leave off on? Because there's all different sorts of temporary teachers and this, that, and the other. You don't ever get the same one. And it's kind of like, oh, on page 42. And they go, oh, okay, then anybody got a photocopy of that? Anybody, can I borrow your book? And picked the book up and just started writing a few bits on the fucking board. And I said, is that the extent of why I'm in fucking college? To listen to you reading from the fucking book that I can do myself? And he looked at me like really hurt and dumbfounded, as if say, yeah, of course. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? I could just stay at home like I have been and read incessantly all fucking day long. And I don't, why would I want to get on the fucking bus or cycle to a fucking college and deal with you fucking fools? It's just incredible. And then in our country, we have to pay £30,000 a year to go to university. And I say things like, well, what books are on the curriculum? And let's say, like in a 3-year course, maybe there's like fucking 10 books. And I'm like, well, I'll just read the fucking 10 books and save myself 30 grand. Because coming to
Hmm.
class, what the fuck have you got to tell me except what's in the book?
Yeah, and often it is not the if they read about a certain thing or philosopher, it's not the direct source, but it's the school book often also.
Yeah, yeah. It's all this contrived shit. And the thing is, when I went to study psychology, um, I asked what was on the curriculum. I asked, is there any, Freud or Jung or Adler or Rogers, any of the great psychologists? No, not a single one. Not a single one would ever be mentioned in the degree for psychology. And I'm like, this
Hmm.
is fucked up. All they wanted us to do was to be able to gather data on human psychology from fucking spreadsheets and this, that, and the other, so we could become obedient little fucking drones and maybe fucking become doctors and sign off fucking prescriptions.
But I think there must be like the basic from Maslow and Pavlov and some psychodynamic and so on.
Well, I was
Also,
told there wasn't. I was told there fucking wasn't any of that. And then when I got,
that's strange. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, completely useless. And yeah, difficult to know what's going on in the world. Um,
Certainly not Carl Jung. That's
yeah, no,
almost.
most certainly not. And even Freud, the general consensus now is, oh yeah, Freud, all about fucking sex and wanting to fuck your mother and all this different sorts of stuff. People are so far away from that.
Yeah.
And basically it's all cognitive behavioral therapy in relation to psychology. Anyway,
Yeah.
just before I go, I'm taking therapy sessions now with someone who's qualified to look into PSD, post traumatic stress, and things like that. And so I put up the first video a couple of days ago. I've got the second one, which is going to be on the 21st, and I'm doing a series about it. I'm
Yeah.
filming. I'm filming me in
Yeah.
the session.
Yeah. 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 Listen to that. I
Right, you listen
think
to the first one.
yesterday when I laid in bed, I just turned the sound on,
Yeah,
relaxed my body after I worked and so on.
yeah,
Listened.
and so yeah, well, that's what I'm doing. I'm investigating me. I'm still investigating me. But you see, whilst I'm investigating me, I'm allowing anyone that's interested to also be privy to it.
Yeah.
Most people, who's ever done this in their lives? Who's done it on the world? That's why I want to know who's done it on the world. Who's made public their personal therapy fucking sessions when you're talking about the things that have traumatized you, your early childhood, this, that, and the other. Who's done that? Nobody I ever know. If anybody out there fucking knows someone that's done it, then I'll be interested in listening. But I'm doing it. Why am I doing it? Well, because it's just information. Why would I want to keep it all to myself? What the fuck do I care about, if I end up tearful in during the session because I'm being regressed into a traumatic situation? What the fuck do I care if anybody sees that?
Why do you think people can be afraid of that?
What, by revealing it?
Yeah.
Well, because they're afraid of their own shadow, most people.
Yeah. Mm. Hmm.
Look, people are even afraid of putting their own name and photo on their YouTube fucking thumb.
Hmm.
And even to comment, even if they're anonymous and they've got an anonymous picture and an anonymous name, oh, it's so terrifying just to put something down because, you don't know who's looking, you don't know who's going to gang up on me, you don't know who's going to say you're talking rubbish. It's unbelievable the premise of fear that the Muppets got these days.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's fucking insufferable, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've had my fucking rant for the day. I'll just wake up and do it all again tomorrow. Fucking hell, Andre. This thing called life, huh?
Yeah. I will look at your next video when you put up that session. That seems very interesting, you know.
Yeah,
It's
so she'll be
raw.
trying to help me with my childhood trauma of losing my mother to suicide, you know.
Yeah.
Um, And why am I doing it? Well, I'm doing it for lots of reasons. I'm not doing it because I'm suffering and, I can't get on in life because of that. No, I'm doing it because it's a facility which is available to me. I like engaging with intellectual people. And, what lengths do I have to go to find intellectual people? Well, I've got videos available to the world. And, there's like two or three people that come and talk to me out of all the potential millions. And so I have to seek out therapy, try to get, an intelligent person, or I have to talk to AI. What a shocking fucking cesspool of blubbering fucking shit the human race is, man, when you've got to seek out therapy if you want someone interesting to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, there's something very, very seriously wrong with a human being as far as
I
I can
think
gather.
people are more afraid of each other nowadays. Yeah, and I think it's just getting worse on that front. But anyway, yeah,
Just getting worse and worse and worse. Yes, anyway, mate, well, we are a couple of remaining warriors on the world. And so
yeah,
the world can look at us and fucking gloat and fantasize what it would be like to be real men when you look at the
yeah.
fucking awake and brave, when you look at Arnold, mate. Yeah. Fucking eat your hearts out, people. See you later, dude.
Yeah, see you later, mister.
Have a good one.
You too.